Thank you so much, sir, for this interview today. You just extended the charter from May 2022 to 2024 April for the Shanghai Frankfurt route. What are your intentions for these 2-year extension?
Today, what we are looking at is capacity still is a concern with most of the airlines because of the imbalance between the passenger flights and the cargo freighter operations, and plus also the geopolitical situation in Ukraine, the pandemic issues, so the crew turnaround times, and so airlines are also finding it difficult to maintain capacity. And what we are doing at Dachser is we are simply complementing this capacity with our own charter programs, and we see this to be a continued effort in the future as well, because I think the customers are expecting a certain quality from Dachser. And although our business with the core carriers that we currently use is very steady and it's also growing, we also feel the need that a charter program should be implemented, and that's the reason that we are continuing with this. We continue to see a high demand from our customers for the charter programs, so we are able to maintain the quality, and that has been one of the main reasons that we wanted to extend this charter program by another 2 years.
Would you like to tell me if there was any impact during the Shanghai lockdown or the Ukraine-Russia war or also the pandemic, and how did you recover from it?
So there are two parts. The Ukraine crisis is a bit different from the pandemic in Shanghai. So for the Ukraine crisis, we are not seeing a direct impact in India currently, although the airlines are impacted because of the no-fly zones and they had to reroute certain flights, but we are still able to maintain the quality as far as the air freight is concerned, and we are able to work with the capacities that we are planning. We also have a very active monitoring system where we are seeing where we could face a problem with capacity and how we could complement it or how we could bridge that demand with our own charter programs. So far, we have been able to maintain the solutions to our customers as well. As far as India is concerned, we are not seeing much of an impact from the geopolitical situation in Ukraine. Our major business has always been Europe and intra-Asia and a bit in the US. So we are not directly impacted with the Ukraine situation. But with the pandemic situation, with the shutdown in China, yes, we are directly impacted. Our customers are directly impacted because the movement, especially the air freight, is still all right. We can still find solutions. But on the ocean freight side, there are plenty of problems. There are delays. There are because of the port shutdowns, because of the China zero case policy. There has been a direct impact on the supply chains of our customers. So we are seeing a major impact. We continue to face it even today because shipments sometimes are getting delayed by weeks because there is no immediate connection available. So on the air freight side, we see still there are disruptions. There are delays of a few days, but on the ocean side, we are even seeing delays that are extending beyond 2 to 3 weeks. So this is really a complex situation as we stand today, and we are having to work with customers to very, very closely to make sure that their shipments are leaving on time, or we are at least able to correct those delays to some extent. So this is the current situation. We hope that now with things opening up, I think over the next 2-3 weeks, China should be opening up a lot more. And once we are through with the congestion at the ports, especially on the sea freight side, I think the situation later on in July, August, July to September quarter, we could see some kind of stability coming back. But it will take time for sure.
Right. So is Dachser by any chance working on any strategies to overcome these delays? Because on ocean freight and air freight, of course, 2 to 3 weeks is a longer period.
It is. And yes, so what we are doing is we are really monitoring the shipments very closely. We are also setting up dialogues with the carriers to make sure that, these delays are addressed timely. And even the carriers are extending their full support when they see a long delay. They are trying to, manually intervene and try to find some more solutions. But the problem is that there are very little alternatives to ocean freight. I mean, ocean freight is, the widest ever used network, and to replace it in a short time is not difficult. It's not easy, rather. What we are also seeing is that in some parts we can, put in some trucking solutions to overcome the situation on the ocean freight side, but still a majority of our customers are dependent highly on the ocean freight. So what we are doing is we are investing more into people at this stage because we need to be tracking the workload on an ocean freight shipment has gone up tremendously. Initially, it would take maybe, a few phone calls to get a booking arranged, and now it takes days to get a booking arranged. So the difference is massive. This is also on the air freight side also common because there are frequent delays at all the major hubs in the world because they are facing various kind of issues that are cropping up every now and then. I think this kind of working in a crisis situation is going to be the new normal, more or less, for the coming 2-3 years till the time all these issues settle down. The geopolitical situation, the situation situation with the pandemic, I think it will take some time to settle down. And the kind of backlogs that are created, the congestion that is already happening at the ports and the airports in the world will take, of course, some time to get corrected. I think this is the time where we feel a high focus on customer service is essential. And that's where we are really working on. We want to be more closer to the customers than ever before, because they need to find solutions for the delayed shipments or the delayed flights. And there we think we can add a lot of value to them by being available to them rather than they speaking to automated phone call or automated machine. I think it's more important that the human element comes up in this kind of a situation and they are able to reach us. So I am personally also getting a lot of emails, escalations over the last couple of years on shipments that are stuck at various parts of the world. And what we are doing is that we are making sure that every email is answered, every phone call is answered, and a solution is found with the partners, with the partner carriers. We have a very strong partner network. We work with core carriers and preferred carriers. So we have, the access right up to the top management to reach out to them and to really find solutions for our customers. So we're doing that a lot more than in the current situation. And that's where, we are also focusing high on customer service.
That's great. It's a very positive approach, actually.
It is,
yeah.
Yes.
You just said that working into a crisis is going to be like a new normal. I think this is something I'm hearing for the first time. But you know how working with crisis also comes up, like it's cost on your pockets as well.
Yes.
So air freights and cargo freights are spiking high.
Correct.
What do you think? Are they going to stabilize anytime soon?
I mean, without directly naming airlines, but I can tell you that even the cost with the airlines is going up for them. You see, even with this entire situation where freight rates are so high, airlines are still making losses. A few airlines at least are still making losses. And why is this happening is because a large part of their fleet is still on the ground. With the passenger demand coming in, when the passengers, and I think now passengers have started to fly international. Also at this great event that we have every couple of years, we are seeing a large turnout. And we also see a large turnout of foreign nationals coming in and foreign delegates coming and attending. And I feel personally that is a very good sign. People have started to travel despite, the cost being high, because of fuel cost being high, the airline operating cost being high, their fleet is not completely utilized. And imagine if a Airbus 380 or a 777 is grounded for an airline and not making any money for them. It's a huge asset. It's a huge financial cost. And that is what is driving up the entire cost. So this, like I said earlier, we do not see that this will immediately improve. But I think towards the end of this year, when passengers passengers are flying in larger numbers and we see a huge demand back for the passenger aircrafts, I think the whole situation will start balancing. Hopefully from 2023 onwards, we should see more stability.
Right. And specifically only focusing on India. So what do you think is the future with the Indian industry? Where is it heading towards and what is your experience?
So I see that India is strategically very well positioned for the future. If you look at the next 5 to 10 years, we are definitely going to grow exponentially, because with all the situations globally, India is now recognized by the world as a very, very reliable source for their products. And we are, I think our manufacturing, the kind of focus that it is getting from the government now, the incentive programs from the government for production. So this is really helping India being recognized as a world force for manufacturing in the future. So I see tremendous growth. I am very, very positive. In the short term, there can be some disruptions because of high inflation rates and, the demand going down a little bit because consumers have to also manage their own, with their own incomes. And if, the income is not growing as per the inflation rates, it becomes a bit challenging. But that, I think, is a problem of the short term. For the medium to long term, I think India is very, very well positioned for a strong growth. We are also seeing our exports. I mean, $400 billion of exports in financial year 2022. I think this is a record performance for our exports. We are also seeing the supply chain shift. We are seeing now US becoming a real big trading partner with India, replacing already China. We want to be a 5 trillion economy, and I think that is a given. With the current focus from the government on the economy, nobody can stop us from being a 5 trillion economy. We are already at number 6 now. We are that much far away from UK, who has been traditionally one of the very, very strong economies of the world. I think we can grow over the UK. And we will be in the top 5 economies of the world. So really from the medium to long term, India is very, very well positioned. The focus from the government is very high. They recognize how important it is to invest in infrastructure. You look at our road network now, we are having very ambitious plans, talking about building 50 kilometers of highways per day. And the target for 2023 is to build 18,000 kilometers of highway. So this is, I think we've been speaking about infrastructure growth, but we didn't see that much happen practically. But now things are changing very rapidly. So I feel that India is very well positioned.
We can definitely say India has a bright future.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is no denying that. And yes, there will be disruptions, which will continue to impact us. And I think we as leaders have to deal with these disruptions. We have to be more agile in our leadership. We have to foresee things in a much better way. But with this in place, I think we are going to be unstoppable from that point of view.
I would like to know from what kind of an expectations that you get from your clients when the cargo is delayed, or just in terms of services at this moment. Is there any change in behavior that you have seen?
Yes, there is. When we are talking to the supply chain heads of companies that we are dealing with today, they are also, I must say that they are very understanding on the whole situation. They know there is little a freight forwarder or a shipping line can do when you are faced with a crisis of this size. What we have managed to done with them is we have managed to work around the lead times. We have their inventory planning has been much more better now. So they are already building in those delays of 2 weeks, 3 weeks on a shipping line, and they are planning their inventory in a much better way. So what has happened is that working closely with these customers, giving them a very realistic view, giving them weekly updates, even daily at times, on what is happening around the world. Why are the delays happening? What does a shipping line gain from a delay? Or what does an airline gain from a delay? Nothing at the end. So in fact, there are more costs when a shipment gets delayed at a port or at an airport that the airline has to incur. So I think the customers have understood that this is a global crisis situation. They are even planning it including this in their planning now. And only what they expect is that giving them information timely, telling them that the shipment is delayed, telling them on what we are doing to help them in this delay is where it all boils down to now. So I feel that it's not a situation that anybody likes. No freight forwarder, no airline, no shipping line likes a delay. And imagine the kind of workload it increases for our team, because every single shipment has to be tracked now. Because today's we plan a shipment on a particular flight or a vessel, and a couple of days later, the planning completely changes. So it's being very volatile, but also the customers are more understanding now, and they're very open to receiving a delayed feedback. But all they want is timely feedback and what are the corrective measures that we are taking. And I think this has even brought us closer to the customers. So we are now becoming like a real extended arm of the customers.
Oh, lovely.
Keeping them informed on what is happening, and also taking corrective measures to find the next best solution. We know a shipment is delayed. Now, what is the next best solution is what we start working on. Instead of, arguing or fighting on a delay, the more energy has to be given to what is the next best solution to get the cargoes back to India or out of India at the right time.
And such practices always gains customer trust as well. Yeah.
Exactly. And that is bringing us really closer to our customers. And we've also, now that we are allowed to meet customers, the customers are available for physical meetings. We are also trying to increase the number of face-to-face meetings with the customers so that we can really explain the situation and we can explain to them on what efforts Dachser is taking today to find solutions for their problems.
So Dachser also saw a remarkable growth surge, increasing its sales to 7.1 billion euros, 26% of rise, if that's correct. So what are your plans for this year? And also I would like to know, how did you gain this surge?
So one thing that we've always done in Dachser is focus on the quality and the customer centricity. I think this is paying up good dividends in the business forecast that we have. We have a very clear forecast. We feel that till 2022 also we will achieve a strong growth, and we will continue to stay focused on our quality to the customers. And this is, talking about quality in these times when the shipments are getting heavily delayed is a dichotomy actually. But what we are trying to do is we are trying to really handle these delays in a more professional manner, and to also take this as an opportunity to work more closely with the customers to find solutions. So I think the consistent business growth is something that we expect, is something that we are working hard towards. Our customers, our share of customers, our share of global customers is increasing very steadily, and that gives us the confidence that we are doing things right. We are focusing on the right topics, we are working on the right issues, and we are able to find the right solutions for the customer. So we expect that this growth also continues in the future for us.
What are your thoughts on digitalization into logistics? I know everybody's just talking about that these days. And how is Dachser transforming from manual to digital?
I think this is something that no one can avoid. we have to focus on digitalization. We are talking about India logistic costs being high. And very often people talk about what the government is doing, for reducing the logistic costs. I would say, what are we doing to reduce the logistic costs? And I think digitization is a fantastic opportunity for all of us to reduce, the manual workload. This also helps us in reducing the mistakes. And we also need to take all the stakeholders into consideration, not only limited to the airlines and the freight forwarders, also take the last mile deliveries, the transporters into this whole discussion about digitalization. And we should get away from making a phone call to a trucker and say, I want a truck in the evening at 5 p.m. It should all be an automated process that we issue a transport order. And today I'm glad that our systems are completely designed. Dachser has, as you know, we are globally on one system. So almost 99.9% of the Dachser world, we just have a small 1 or 2 countries still left to be included in that. That got delayed because of the pandemic. And we will soon be completing those countries as well. But we are very happy that our systems are designed to handle shipments in a digital way. We are doing it from two point of views. One is definitely that we want to increase the quality. The lesser the human intervention, the lesser the mistakes and the higher the quality. Because imagine that you receive a document from the customer placing an order digitally. You process the shipment digitally, and you also include all the other stakeholders, like I said, a transport order getting to the transporter, that we need a truck at so and so or time, and we manage all these processes digitally. It is going to be, the work is going to be much more faster. We are going to be handling more shipments than what we are doing today, because imagine that every time a customer places an order on us and we start to key in all the data, and then we key it once again, and then we key it the second time to the transporter. It's just a unnecessary amount of, it's a loss of productivity, as I would say. The higher the productivity, the lower the costs, and this is how we can also contributing in reducing the logistics cost from the famous 13-14% that we have in India, and we've been talking about it for such a long time. And also, the last couple of years forced us into digitalization, right? I mean, people who were not even looking at digitalization have started to look at, because there was no option available. This is the time that we really leverage from this now, and we work more harder to get as much as our processes mapped in digitalization and remove the amount of human intervention on a shipment to process the shipment. So I feel that there is no escaping this. The faster you embrace it, the better, because either you embrace it or you are extinct. So this is, and you can learn this from the new e-commerce companies, where you are ordering some things online and you get everything online. You are not making a phone call to order a t-shirt or a trouser or a formal shirt, whatever. And this is also giving a high scalability. Just reading about how in China, the online orders are more than the retail sales now. And they continue to increase. So it's more than 50% of the whole retail business is done online in China. Other countries are at around 20-25%. So this will increase. It gives you a high amount of scalability when you start receiving documents, processing shipments, passing on information in a digital way than to do everything manually. We simply won't have the time or the resources to do that in the future. So like I said earlier, the faster you embrace digitalization, the faster you embrace automation, the better it will be for the entire industry. And that is how we can contribute as industry stakeholders to really get the logistic costs down for our customers as well. So we have to contribute. There is no denying that. And we simply can't leave everything to the government that, okay, the government must do this, because these are things that we directly control and can contribute.
And what are your plans on entering into new markets?
So Dachser, we constantly evaluate new markets. We are fearless in terms of making new investments. We continue to make investments. Even though where people may say that, there's a high inflation, the demand could go down, this is the time that we are actually investing into sales. We are constantly monitoring new opportunities, and we will never hesitate to make investments into newer markets.
Awesome. Is there any recent expansion that we are going to hear very much soon that you would like to share?
It's a bit early for me to share, but I think towards the end of this year, there will be really some more announcements from Dachser on what we are doing globally to enter new markets. So by the end of this year, we should be able to share. There are some discussions that are happening as I talk now, and by the end of this year, we would be happy to share that with the media, with the industry, and we will be making those announcements towards the end of this year.
So are you aiming these collaborations in India or other parts of the world?
In India, we have a free hand to do the investments. So like I said, we are looking at newer markets in Gujarat. We are looking at more expansions in the north of India, reaching out to Punjab, reaching out to the real interiors of India for the market. Northeast is one area where we have not done much. We have a very little presence. So I would like to do something covering the northeastern markets in the next years. And also globally, we would like to make some announcements. So there is some global expansion also on the cards, which we will be able to probably discuss later this year.
Also, I would like to talk about the second most common topic, sustainability. sustainability.
Yeah.
So, what are your plans on sustainability? What is your take on sustainability? How important this is, and what everybody needs to do that towards
I
sustainability?
think topics like sustainability, topics like climate protection, I think we cannot escape that. We have to be more responsible as companies, as industry stakeholders. And I think this forum where we have a huge amount of participation at the Air Cargo India show, I think we need to have clear discussions on climate protection, on what we are going to do, and not merely talks that, we need to plant more trees. I mean, this is, the most cliche that I ever hear and everybody talks about. And it's also now becoming a little bit of a lighter topic in the company, that anybody talks about climate protection, we talk about planting more trees. It's much more beyond that. Companies must aim to be net zero. We need to reduce our carbon emissions. This is very clear. And I'm glad that this topic at Dachser is receiving directly attention, not only from the executive board, but also from the supervisory board at Dachser. So huge amount of effort at Dachser has been unleashed this year to really started building up, and they are not interested in discussions. The executive board has made it very clear that for climate protection, we need to take really active steps on what each country will do in Dachser for making it more responsible from a climate protection point of view. So I think this is also one of the most important points leading us towards sustainability. We have only one planet that we live in, and I think we need to be more mindful of what we have been doing. The airlines, the shipping lines are all taking their active measures towards climate protection. We as Dachser, you will see us more focused on taking clear actions as far as climate protection is concerned. We also go one more step, and we try to include all our partners into our sustainability program. So we discuss these things with them. We take their ideas on board. Even talk to a transporter and tell him that, okay, what are you going to do about sustainability? What is your commitment towards sustainability? So taking clear targets from people on what they are going to do for sustainability, and I think climate protection, one of the biggest topics that will be here that I'm talking about today, and I will continue to talk about it in all the forums, and also have clear actions defined within the company towards our responsibility to climate protection. So,
Thank you so much.
thank you very much.